I still need a few more people. Terry, Becky, Lisa, and Vicky.
You announce it. Check your equipment, electronics.
Make sure that you're on open meetings. And Terry's grabbing her phone. And Lisa, I can see she's... I think she's grabbing the agenda.
All right, she's in.
And she's grabbing her phone.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
All right, we've got everybody plugged in. Set in the back. All right. Good evening, everybody. You are at a Common Council meeting of the City of Wausau. It is April 8th at 6:31 p.m. City Hall, Council Chambers. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And could the clerk call roll, please?
There are 10 voting members.
Thank you. Up next is proclamations, and we have one latecomer here from Blake this afternoon. It's a proclamation on our 250, well, I'll read it and then I'll tell you what it is. Proclamation reads, whereas 250 years ago, in the spring of 1775, the flames of liberty were kindled outside Boston as brave patriots took their stand for freedom. And whereas on the night of April 18th, 1775, the lanterns in the Old North Church, one if by land, two if by sea, cast their light as beacons of resistance, courage, and the enduring spirit of self-determination. And whereas Paul Revere's midnight ride through the darkened countryside awakened sleeping people and alerted the colonies to the coming struggle for liberty, justice, and independence, and whereas these moments, immortalized in verse and memory, mark the beginning of a revolution that gave birth to a new nation dedicated to the principles of liberty and justice for all. And whereas we are gathered now, 2.5 centuries later, to honor the courage, unity, and vision of those who came before us, and to reaffirm our own commitment to the enduring values of democracy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Doug Denny, Mayor of the City of Wausau, do hereby proclaim April 18th, 2025 as Two Lights for Tomorrow Day in the City of Wausau, and encourage all residents to join in celebrating this historic and remarkable event. It's Paul Revere, not Paul Revere and the Raiders, Tom and Lou. All right. Pre-registered citizens are up next. We have a couple. I saw somebody grab a sheet. If you've got a sheet ready, you can turn it into the clerk. Up first is the Reverend Samuel Cripps.
Good evening, Council. I know that the resolution concerning landmarking St. John's Episcopal is on the consent agenda, but those in my profession can hardly stay away from microphones and lecterns, so any opportunity. I also know that both Alder Gisselman and Mayor Denny have heard my original remarks, so I wrote something new, just so as not to bore at least the two of you. I am Father Samuel Cripps. I am the priest and rector of the Episcopal Church of St. John the Baptist. I'm also your next-door neighbor right across the street. We are not the oldest congregation in Wausau, but we are the stewards of the oldest church building in Wausau in continual use. The first Anglican worship that happened here was on March the 12th, 1854, only 6 years after Wisconsin had become a state. Here on our 400 block, the American saint in the Episcopal Church, and Blessed Bishop Jackson Kemper preached outdoors here in Wausau in the same year as our founding. And he went on to found Episcopal churches from Wisconsin all the way to Oregon and California, planted over 300 Episcopal churches. We are a vibrant and growing congregation of Christians, and while we are looking forward to our bright future, our tradition and our sacred space also keeps one of our feet always in the past. We are stewards of this piece of Wausau's history, as well as stewards of our ancient form of Christianity. So as the rector and priest of our congregation, I would like to thank the Historic Preservation Commission, the Planning Commission for their work and assistance in landmarking our parish, and thank you all for your consideration as well. So while we are stewards of this building, the history, the stories that our walls and windows tells, it is also the story of Wausau. Our first church was left half-built because a lot of the laborers got drafted in the Civil War. Many of our second and current building was built with fundraising from the Episcopal churchwomen, who were the wives of lumber barons and early philanthropists in our community. So thank you for your consideration and your work preserving Wausau's history. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Reverend Cripps. Up next, Kelly Walk.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Callie Wolk, and I'm the Executive Director of the Wausau River District. That's Wausau's Main Street America program, and we work in conjunction with Wausau's Business Improvement District. I'm here today on behalf of our downtown community and our small business owners. We're all here to request your support in opening up the JCPenney parking ramp for free public use during the first 3 phases of the upcoming Foundry construction project. Phases 1 through 3 are scheduled from April 14th to July 3rd, 2025, approximately 11 weeks. This portion of the Foundry project includes major underground utility work and a complete street reconstruction along Washington Street and the intersection of 3rd Street. That's 2 of our downtown's primary corridors and key entry points. This construction will temporarily close and restrict vehicle access and parking along those areas. During Phase 2, there will be no access at all to the 300 block of 3rd Street, affecting a lot of businesses that call that block home. So that will mean a loss of access and less visibility, fewer visitors, and for many, a sharp dip in revenue during those crucial weeks. So we're here today asking the city to temporarily waive parking fees in the JCPenney parking lot during this time. That ramp is closest to the construction zone and has been somewhat underutilized since the demolition of the Wausau Center Mall. So offering it as a free, convenient option is one of the simplest and most impactful things we can do to support our small business owners and keep foot traffic moving in our downtown during this construction period. It's also a great opportunity to reintroduce residents to a public asset that many may not be in the habit of currently using. So by making parking easier and more accessible, we can reduce confusion that often comes with downtown construction and encourage continued visits when it matters most. Typically, when access is blocked and parking feels scarce or confusing, many potential visitors choose not to come completely. Free ramp access removes that barrier and sends a strong message that the city supports its small businesses and our entrepreneurial ecosystem through both the short-term disruption and the long-term progress. We fully recognize that parking revenue may be a budgetary consideration. However, the temporary loss of those ramp fees is likely to be outweighed by the broader economic benefit of keeping our downtown storefronts active and open. This is an opportunity to use a public asset already in place to protect the vitality and our core business district in the heart of our city. We are incredibly excited about the Foundry project and the future it promises, but in the short term, we need to give local businesses every chance to stay strong through these growing pains and be part of the successful future ahead. This temporary measure can make a real difference. Thank you for considering this request and for supporting our downtown community.
Thank you, Kelly. Up next, Brian Fox.
Good evening, council members. I should just borrow her notes because she said pretty much everything that I wanted to say. I represent Magnolia Soap and Bath, a small business down on 3rd. And I guess what I'd like to first say is that we are going to be celebrating our 2nd year on the 2nd of June, right in the middle of all of this. We've had a very vibrant 2 years up to this point. The growth has been good. We have a lot of loyal customers. And I would say every day we have people that come in and say, oh, this is our first time downtown since the mall was taken down. And we just never get down this way because parking is so hard and one-way streets, and the number of excuses that people come up with to not come downtown to the River District is really quite unbelievable. We've already got people talking about what's going to happen during the construction phase. Everybody is super excited about the foundry and the potential that it's going to bring down to the businesses. Not only our customers are excited, but the other business owners that I've spoken with are also very much excited. So we want to promote, along with the city of Wausau, anything that we can to further enhance people to come down to the River District. And as Callie mentioned, free parking is going to be a huge thing. The J.C. Penney ramp, easy access over to 3rd, and once they close off in phase 2, it's going to be really difficult for people to know where to park. We're looking at maybe coming up with some idea as far as, a map and a sign of, here you are inside of Magnolia, this is how you get to parking. Getting that out there before people actually, or before the construction actually starts. We don't want to see loss of our revenue. We don't want to see the loss of revenue for the city either. We understand both are just as important. Without us, downtown doesn't survive. Without you guys, we don't survive. So we're asking for your support as well. And I know that any questions that anybody might have about what our customers are saying on a more in-depth perspective, I welcome you to come into our store, not even to shop for product, but just to talk about how it's going to affect all of us. So I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Anyone else? Okay, that's it for public comment. Communications recommendations, I only have one thing that came up today. We have the lead service line, it's coming into construction season.
Point of order. Point of order.
What is your point of order?
My point of order is, I'm afraid that, there's lack of content in the agenda, and whatever you should say should be in the agenda. I have right here the open meetings law, fact 13. I read to you, it says, how specific does an agenda item have to be to satisfy open meeting laws and public notice requirement? Wisconsin's open meeting law provides the public is entitled to the fullest and most complete information regarding the affairs of the government and is compatible with the conduct of governmental business. Wisconsin Statute 19.81-1. And since that this wasn't listed, there was nothing in about the content in the agenda. It should not be in the agenda. I also have another thing I could also write you that came from the city attorney. It just says, given the council's reaction to the standing item on the council agenda, communications and recommendations from the mayor, I urge you to consider placing that item on the agenda when you can describe a communication recommendation in sufficient detail to satisfy the open meetings law. Well, there's nothing in the agenda to satisfy the open meetings law. So this really has to stop, I think, until the Rules Committee and the City Council has a chance to examine this and how to move forward with this, because it's not, as far as I can see, it's not legal. Let me rephrase that. It's not in compliance with the open meetings law.
Thank you for that input. It's a non-actionable item. It's an announcement, and I would overrule you, and I would suggest you take it up with the Rules Committee.
No,
But we
then
could-
I'm going to appeal it.
Okay, we have an appeal on the floor to allow the mayor to mention the lead service line replacement program kicking off, so I'm going to.
No, the appeal is,
Mr. Larson,
the
we have an
appeal-
appeal, we'll take this as it is, we'll take a vote. Mr. Larson appeals the mayor's communication and recommendations.
Have a motion to overrule the decision of the chair.
The decision of the chair was to address the item.
So it'll be a vote then.
So do we need a second?
No.
Okay, so we have.
No.
We'll take a roll call vote.
Would you clarify how we're voting here?
You're voting yes to allow me to say about 3 more words, and you're voting no to stop me from speaking.
Are we allowed a question?
What's your question?
I want to know your opinion on if the speaking on a subject that's not on the agenda, even if it's not actionable, is that considered a possible open meeting violation?
Yes, you heard my opinion, but he raised a point of order, and the chair correctly said the chair, in proper procedure, said he was incorrect, so he can appeal that. That doesn't require a second, and the mayor was moving toward following the proper procedure to take a vote of the body, whether or not you believe it meets the open meeting law or would allow him to continue to speak. So, as he said, vote yes if you think it is appropriate, and no if you don't think it's appropriate.
Here,
It says motion to overrule the decision of the chair. So vote yes if we do not think it's appropriate for the chair to speak on this. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I'm
Well, see, now that
understanding
you're wording
this.
that, I didn't see how that was worded.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can change that.
It's totally up to you. The vote.
in the interest of time, I'm going to pull the item for tonight. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. We have one item from the agenda that we're pulling at a request of an alder, and that's 25-0416.
And that would be me. I received feedback today.
Well, we'll vote on the consent, and we'll take this second.
Oh, sorry.
All right,
Okay.
are you up to speed yet?
Yep, we got
All
a
right.
motion in a second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Watson, second from Neal.
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
All right, so we'll take that item we pulled, that's 25-0416. It's an ordinance amendment from Plan Commission, amending the GDP for 920 North First Street and 15 Fulton Street to accommodate multifamily apartment buildings and a clubhouse. That was approved 5-0. And I have a motion from Rasmussen, second from Lukens. Mr. Neal, you're number one to speak.
I would yield to Alder Killian, who intended to speak to it.
Okay.
I would not mind waiting until after she spoke.
Alder Killian.
Okay, sorry about that. I had some feedback today from a resident addressing the amendment to the GDP. And I had an opportunity to speak with Kathy Volkman, who is the Chief Compliance Officer for Cloverbelt Credit Union. And I do believe Ms. Volkman is in attendance at the meeting this evening. And also, her letter of concern was in our packet today. On our phone conversation today, Ms. Volkman indicated to me that the Cloverbelt Credit Union is not opposed to the building itself, although it does somewhat restrict their view of the river. but CCU has real concerns about the increased traffic flow with the construction and usage of the building. CCU has communicated concerns to committees and the mayor since 2018. Initially, the primary concerns were regarding parking and traffic, truck traffic. Alder Rasmussen was instrumental in establishing parking on only one side of the street instead of both sides. However, concerns have been communicated since 2023 regarding traffic flow and potential increases of traffic at the corner of First and Fulton. The poor traffic flow continues, and CCU is concerned that it will only worsen after construction. Ms. Volkman did communicate to me that she had recently attended a Plans Commission meeting at which Mr. Lindman said there was a possibility of placing, after reconstruction, a four-way stop at the intersection. She felt that would be very positive, but did not understand why this could not be accomplished prior to the reconstruction, or why such positive steps could not have been taken previously. I did have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Lindman today, and he indicated that he would be happy to come to the podium to address this. So I would like the chair to ask Mr. Lindman to come to the podium, please.
Mr. Lindman in the House, step forward, sir.
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple of things. Obviously, we're getting additional development down on the riverfront, which is great, right? The GDP, the General Development Plan, went to Plan Commission and it was approved. Some of the concerns that were raised when that was brought out to the public and some of the public comments is that the clubhouse that they're proposing has a driveway coming out to First Street. And so that's a potential another conflict. And I think we'll dig into that with the site-specific plan before that comes to Plan Commission with some recommendations, and we'll work with the developer on that, because I would agree that that needs a closer look. We also already have a driveway right next to that intersection coming out of Cloverbelt, which is much closer. And we do have to get some traffic counts, and we also have to get some traffic movements on that intersection before we consider anything to change any of the stop signs. And so we're proposed to do the traffic counts, and then we'll also have it establish somebody, and that'll be before construction. I spoke with the engineers. Hopefully we're done with snow so we can get the tubes out on the street. So hopefully we can get those out next week and start collecting some data and get some turning movements and stuff on there and see what the warrants show. See if we meet any of those warrants for changing any of the stop signs.
So what do you feel is the opportunity to do something about the traffic flow prior to construction?
Well, when construction starts in a few weeks, I mean, that road's going to be closed, so there's really not going to be anything. So I think we'll try to get some traffic counts before, if we open up that intersection, and I think it'd be smart for us to get traffic counts after the road is back open as well, compare those, and then go ahead and make some determinations on if any changes need to be made.
I know the credit union is happy that you're looking at this and are hoping for some positive changes to that,
Yeah.
Eric, so thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, sure. And I've spoken with Kathy as well, so I appreciate her feedback as well and what she sees, so, yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. Alder Rasmussen.
Thank you. I'm glad that we had Eric come up, because the question I had also was about the phasing of the construction and, really what the solutions were in the interim versus at the end. Part of the planning for the downtown clinic and the Y expansion, when that happened, was the last time we were able to work with CCU and get all of these neighbors to coexist together. The feedback that we got from CCU was valuable in that, because they watch stuff all day from their offices that we're not down there to see, which helped us with the parking restriction and that. I do think that when they get into the precise implementation plan for this project, they can address those things with the developer, and that the amendment to the GDP, which is the conceptual plan, could move forward and then allow them to work on that and make whatever modifications they feel are necessary. I think that forward thinking, the riverfront development plan was always intended to house things like the project that we're getting. It was also designed with the vision that perhaps the building across the street that has the truck traffic may not be there forever. And so that building and the associated yard there may present some opportunities in the future as well. So I really do feel like this could move forward, and we can continue to work in partnership with CCU and the other stakeholders down there to make sure that we come out the other end with a product that they all can appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Neal.
Okay, thank you. I wonder if we have a representative from the developer here that might come up to the dais.
Mark Lake, Wangard Partners, 1200 North Mayfair Road, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Ah, my old hometown. Well, welcome. A little question. We've seen, our packet includes, an older master plan for this River Life area. Years ago when before anything happened down there, we talked at length about wanting to make it a mixture of, residents, some multi-use, and definitely green space to make it have a park-like community atmosphere, a place to not just walk past, but to sit down and enjoy. And there's an earlier iteration of the design for your development that had the building like right along the walkway, similar to the one next door. And now we have the new one where the two buildings are separated by a parking lot, and the parking lot faces onto basically the walkway. It's about 20 stalls, all there facing the walkway, similar to what we have at the eye clinic. Not really in keeping with our vision of green space and a park-like atmosphere. So what I'm looking at, is there any way that we can kind of soften that, perhaps raising a berm, so that as anybody walking or biking by is not just looking at the grills of cars, 20 in a row, a berm that might obscure them, or a hedge, a brick wall with planters or something to at least give it a bit of a more park-like look, and maybe a bench or two out there where somebody might sit and not feel they're backed up against a parking lot. So that is my concern. I support the project, and I definitely will vote for it, but something like this kind of bothers me when I think about our intent for River Life.
Well, thank you for actually taking it off the agenda and then asking these questions, because what you don't see and what you didn't see truly, and as part of the GDP request, was the three-dimensional aspect of this project. And the important part of what we're doing is, you notice the two buildings before were like parallel to the river. Well, we wanted our residents and the neighbors to be able to see the river. We weren't going to block it off, so we put them perpendicular to the river. And then we put the parking lot in between. Now, what you don't see is the three-dimensional aspect of the thing. So the river is here, we're lifting the parking lot up, so you don't see the cars. You're not looking at cars, you're looking at the landscaping. You're going to look at places to sit and talk and react and interact with neighbors. And the cars are going to be above. So somebody pulling into the parking lot will shine right over to people that are walking along the river, the lights and all the landscaping that will be up along that edge. But that berm is there. In reality, it's the whole parking lot that's being lifted up and drains backwards away from the river, so you don't see the lights. And the people that walk along the river will have a more enjoyable view.
That's exactly what I'd be hoping to hear, so thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Alder Tierney.
Thank you, Chair. I may have questions later, but right now, I think we're addressing the actual intersection, First and Fulton, which is what I believe Alder Killian was questioning. I drive through that intersection every single day. And I do feel, I know with the River Life apartments coming in there, that traffic definitely increased there. I believe with the addition of the development that's going in there, there will be even more. And of course, you have the times when the contractor has truck traffic and those semis all pull into Cloverbelt Credit Union's entryway, then they pull out and try to back into the stalls that are there for loading and unloading. And I can tell you during that time frame, there is quite the lineup of cars. So those are cars that would continually be going through that intersection. So adding, again, this traffic from the apartment complexes, I feel Cloverbelt's pain as a person who goes through there every day because I do work at the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin. It's also for our patients that go through there, coming and going from appointments. So I, too, would really like to see the traffic count and for the city to address the uptake in the traffic that's going to be going always. It used to just be you'd turn that corner to First Street, there was nobody coming from either side, you just sailed right through, and those days are gone. And again, too, with the addition of the Aspirus clinics and the increased Y traffic. So, yeah, I'd be very grateful to see the traffic counts and something being done to address the traffic going all directions in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Lukens.
Thank you, Mayor. I also have a question for Mr. Lake. Is it Mr. Lake? It's a pretty simple one, hopefully.
Yes, ma'am.
So regarding, I know that you speak to the benefits that the development will have in terms of environmental design. So I know that's about design but this kind of goes along with Alder Neal's question. But mine is just, I don't know what kind of landscaping you'll have or who will be doing the landscaping. But I'm going to put in a plug to ask you to, or ask them to use native plants wherever possible, or trees or whatever, especially it's on the river. And we're facing a real problem with pollinators and things like that, which our food supply depends on. So anywhere I can, I really am encouraging even, native trees or shrubs as much as possible. So if they could, it would be really wonderful.
Vanguard as a practice and as our business plan have always said that we use as many native plants, we have a river and we have to respect the river and we have to respect the community of animals and things that come from that river and that we're replacing. And there's nothing there right now. There's a lot of things that the city has planted and others have planted over time. There was a big factory there for a bajillion years, right? And so we're going to do our best to make sure that the plants, low and high and everything else around our property, including our neighbors, we're working with our neighbors to make sure that we have those plants that are sustainable, that are more native than not. And a lot of times you want to just make sure that you remove the invasives as best you can so that others can survive. Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Seeing nothing further,
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
okay, first up is mayor's appointments. We have one appointment in the packet for Sustainability Committee. I have a motion from Lucan, second from Neal.
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
Okay, the rest of the items require suspension of the rules, requiring a 2/3 vote under Rule 6B for filing and/or 6A for referral of resolutions. Again, a 2/3 vote required.
Let me just add that real quick. You may vote. Passes 10-0.
Okay, first item up is file number 25-0415. This is a council resolution approving Judicial Privacy Act policy for shielding procedures pursuant to Wisconsin Act 235. I have a motion from Watson, second from Lukens, and this is a state act that doesn't come with a lot of instructions. Do we want to explain that, City Attorney?
I can. It's basically an act that amended 19.36 by adding sub 11, and that's the open record law, and it carves out another exception to providing personal information, which is defined as or called protected information in the statute, and it protects certain judicial officers. The goal being to protect them from harm, and so part of the act describes and defines which judicial officers are protected and which family members are protected and what personal information beyond their name is protected. And so initially, that involved us coming up with a policy and working with IT collaboratively with the county. Since they serve both of us, we adopted a similar policy to the county. What you have in front of you is just a draft. I think Caitlin put that together for us, and I think there's a couple tweaks we still need to make to it. But the bottom line is that's a policy for staff use internally in routing and processing these Judicial Privacy Act requests that we may or may not receive. The act became effective April 1st. We haven't received any yet, but the state court, the director of state courts did not release the form to the judges until Friday, April 4th, I think. So we're right on the cusp of getting this internal policy adopted so that we know how to process these requests and don't release some information that we shouldn't if we're requested not to. So it involved not only working with IT to shield some of this information that's readily accessible to the public through our website, but also how to deal with paper or hard copy records that may also be involved in a request. Does that answer any questions anybody may have had? All right.
Thank you. Seeing no questions.
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
All right, up next is a Parks resolution. That's 25-0414. Resolution approving the lease of River Life Park concession building to CMA Wausau LLC for the seasonal operation of an ice cream and quick serve food item business. And that passed unanimously last night, I think, at Parks. And I have a motion from Watson, second from Neal. Mr. Larson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is the fella here that's going to operate the, could
I
you come
believe
up?
so.
Could he come and invite him up to the podium, please? I had a, under this part this passed unanimously yesterday, but I had a question from one of the local news outlets, and they said, we don't know much about you. Are you, have you run this type of business before, and what kind of food are you going to serve, and have you been successful? And so if you would please address those questions.
Sure. First, Dylan Alwyn, 201-811 Dubay Drive, Mosinee, Wisconsin, 54455. Yes, it's a great question. We currently do operate a indoor trampoline facility, outdoor seasonal mini golf course down in Rothschild. We've been at that for going on 6 years. And a large part of that operation is food concessions. So we do have quite a bit of experience with food, making it fast, and obviously abiding to Marathon County's, health department, making sure things are done safely as well. We saw this as an opportunity to really help our staff. We're slower at at Sawmill Adventure Park. That's the name of that business. We're slower in the summer, so we saw it as a good opportunity to help our staff. A lot of college, high school age kids fulfill more hours in the summertime. So we saw it as obviously a a great addition for the kids to get more hours, and then also, being in the family kind of entertainment business, it was something that was attractive to us to pursue. And certainly we have some more ideas that will be coming with that location to further bring more people in and possibly utilizing the river with some activities as well.
Thank you. And have you decided on a menu as such, or?
Menu-wise, we're going to start for the first summer, because we only have about a month and a half to get everything completely put together. So we're definitely going to do soft serve ice cream, shakes, malts, same pizza recipe that we use at Sawmill right now. So we'll do pizzas, and then again with time we may see additional items that we would add to the menu.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alder. Alder Lukens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also just wanted to say thank you and for this idea. I also work with teens, and they're always saying, like, there's nothing for us to do. We need some more things to do. So in Wausau, so thank you for bringing this idea forward. And I will be voting in favor of it, of course.
Thank you. Alder Martins.
Okay, it's great to see that we've got a new concessionaire coming in downtown on the riverfront. I'm really excited and can't wait to get down there and enjoy some ice cream while sitting in those humongous Adirondack chairs. But I do want to just call attention to an item in the lease agreement that caught my eye while I was reading it. On the first page, item number 2, duration of lease. It says the initial term of the lease is 17 months, beginning June 1st, 2025, and terminating October 31st, 2025. That should be October 31st, 2026.
Yes, I was going to mention that. We brought that up at Parks Monday night, and that was due to negotiations going back and forth with them. It started out as a year's lease, but it was either going to be 7 months or 17 months. And I pointed that out, and then we kept changing it back and forth between 7 and 17. So the dates just didn't get changed in Jamie's version of that. So I caught that. We'll make sure that's changed before it's signed. Thank you.
Good to go.
Thank you. We're ready to vote.
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0. Because there's one item, I can speak to it if you want.
Okay.
And I can speak real quick as to why this is on the suspension. In here, there is a change to a tavern entertainment license for CW Flybag. They wanted to add some additional entertainment options, and according to our ordinance, it needed council approval, but it didn't have to go through the Public Health and Safety Committee. So, and because of that reason, I didn't want to just throw it onto the regular part of the agenda. I thought it should go on the suspension.
Okay, so
technically, it didn't go through a committee.
It did, yes. So this is file number 25-0108, Public Health and Safety Resolution approving or denying various licenses as indicated, and then it was approved on those dates indicated for the subcommittee, the committee, and then this last change. All right, motion from Tierney, second from Rasmussen.
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
Up next is a resolution from Finance, item file number 25-0419. It's a resolution approving the suspension of hourly parking fees in Ramp 3, the former J.C. Penney's ramp, during the downtown street construction project, which kicks off on April 14th. So we're right around the corner. That was unanimous at I believe it was 4-1 here a few minutes ago at Finance. I have a motion from Watson. I'm sorry, it was 4-0. We had one absent. Motion from Watson, second from Lukens. Alder Rasmussen.
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight that I think this is really going to be a big help. We know from past projects what kind of havoc construction will cause for commerce in our local businesses and in our downtown business district. So I think this is a chance for us to work with our business community proactively really help them out and, find places not only for people to park, but through their marketing efforts and through some collaboration on their part, some easy access to Third Street when everything else is a mess down there. So first, thank you to our business leaders for bringing the idea forward. They brought it forward. They worked with the mayor and they worked with the staff. And I think everyone did a really good job in expediting this so that we can have it ready, because that project is ready to kick off its first phase like in a week. So good that we can have this finalized, and excited that we get the opportunity to partner with our Third Street businesses, because we know that at the conclusion of this, we'll have something that we can all be proud of. But in the interim, it really is disruptive. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Just a point of clarification for the record is this came forward as amended, so in between finance and this meeting, Cody amended or fixed it for us. So it was amended from the original to add a refund capacity for somebody who's already a permit holder for this duration. Alder Watson.
And just to speak, thank you, and just to speak about some of the suggestions they were talking about, I don't know if we're working with them too, or if it's going to be something that they create, but the map thing, like if there was something in JCPenney parking lot that said, here, this is how you get to, Magnolia, this is how you get to Politos. Like, I don't know if we can create something like that or do a little help in advertising.
I think so. We had a lot of good ideas kicked around. We're going to use that corner sign potentially to highlight the free parking, little marketing plans. I mean, it's all coming together kind of quick, but I trust that we'll be working with Randy and Andy to get some things on. Andrew filmed a video today. He was down with Ethan Barris. I don't know if you were involved, but he did a little walkthrough and a fly through the parking ramp, and then kind of flew through that ramp exit down to through Mark Craig's building, the Washington Square, and out to 3rd Street. So they did a little video map and how that's going to look. So that should be coming out here pretty soon. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Anyone else?
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
All right, that brings us to file number 25-0420. This is a joint resolution from HR and Finance approving the creation of a shelter lead and shelter advocate position along with their respective job descriptions and corresponding pay scales and related budget modifications. This came from HR on a 5-0 vote tonight, and 4-0? 5-0.
4-0 and 1-5.
Finance 4-0.
Correct.
HR 5-0, right? Okay. Have a motion from Tierney, second from Rasmussen. Alder Rasmussen.
Thank you. This is actually another real positive, I think, that is coming for us. First, a huge thank you both to Chief Barnes and his staff and to the HR committee, the HR department, and the mayor's office. They all really worked together quickly to get this pulled together. We know that we are going to have a gap in contract shelter services from May 1st until the winter season resumes again. And this really will fill that void and very effectively, and really work to provide a solution for both day and night for a very vulnerable population. So I think that we are on the right track with this proposal, and hopefully we'll all support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Tierney.
I want to echo Alder Rasmussen's thanks to Police Chief Barnes, to Tracy, because we know that this is going to add even more to a plate that's already full, and to anyone else who was involved, Becky, on behalf of the HR department, in getting this up and going and put through very quickly. As Alder Rasmussen said, that we are now going to be able to provide a service to the most vulnerable part of our community by giving them a place to stay every night so that they won't have to wonder where can I go tonight during the summer months. So again, huge thanks to everybody who works so hard.
Thank you. Alder Larson.
I would also like to say thank everybody who's been involved in this. I think especially to Police Chief Barnes and his staff for taking this on, because from what I understand, I mean, if they didn't take this on, who would? You know, and I think it's going to be not only a huge asset to the community, but a huge, it could be a huge learning experience as well in our learning on how, as we move forward with the unhoused population. So I just once again say thank you.
It's certainly a learning experience, and we're learning every minute, it seems. Chief Barnes, you want to put a point on that?
Yeah, since maybe there's a giant audience watching on social media or YouTube land tonight, I'm going to take my kick at the cat to discuss what some of the next steps for us are and how hopefully this community can come together and support this, because if we look at any shelter model that's been successful either in this community or others, it really, and I hear regularly, like, it's not a city of Wausau problem, it's not even a Marathon County problem, this is a community issue. And we're going to be relying on the community to support us. We are going to need volunteers. We're going to need people to work with us from a cooking and food standpoint. And we're going to need our community partners to come in and help provide services and share their talent and expertise with this population. Because our goal, even though it's set for 8 months, is not to just shelter people for 8 months. We want to be able to help people while we have them in the shelter. So there will be meetings called over the next week that we're hoping our faith-based community, and we will bring them in to talk about how they may be useful. We are going to call meetings of past people that are known volunteers and volunteer leads. We're going to ask all our other providers in this community that provide services to the unhoused community to come in, not only to provide us counsel, but how might they be useful in the delivery of these services. So it's going to be an all hands on deck next 3 weeks as we move forward. I'd mentioned during the previous committee meeting that I've never filled out a conditional use permit application before, but I did that today. Hopefully it passes. I know some of you are on the Planning Commission. So there are a lot of moving parts that still need to happen. And at the end of the day, the staff of the police department, and really through Tracy's expertise and leadership, the question was, is this important? It's important to the police department, maybe for different reasons than other community members. But the answer was yes. And then we asked the question, like, do we want to do this? No, not really. Nobody's going to say they want to do this. But at the end of the day, can we? And the answer was we can. And then therefore we should. So I think this is going to help us continue on the trajectory of creating the foundation for a plan that the task force between the county and the city is making recommendations to come up with a 5-year strategic plan that allows us to reach a functional zero. And I've always believed that when we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like what do we need to create a solid foundation? We need to have people sleeping indoors. That's just humanity, and we can start to address those other issues. So I'm very appreciative of everyone waiving the time limits for me to come stand before you, and the work that everybody's done, including Tracy, who I just have to say, without her expertise and leadership, it would be very difficult to stand here and even make this proposal to you. So thank you, everyone. And if you're watching on YouTube, my number is 261-7807. If you want to help, feel free to give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. You know, it's important to look back where we started out with the Committee of the Whole on this, and that eventually led to the Joint Task Force, which gave us the funds to even be in this position. So we're not in the position we would ideally want to be in with an outside person providing that bid for us, but it put us in a position where the chief has the flexibility, and we're going to improvise and make it happen for the community. We are ready to vote.
You may vote. Motion passes 10-0.
Last up is the public comment and suggestions. Anyone miss a crack at the mic? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Neal, second. Larson, all in favor? See you later. Sub 1 hour, Becky.